Welcome everybody to Banter on the Rocks. We got Tim here, Pina again. Welcome. We're excited for today. Uh, fourth episode. Feels like we've been doing this for years, but it's been a fun time. So we got a great host or guest today. Tim will introduce him in a bit, but to start off, we'll start with Banter on the Rocks and what we're drinking today. And today I have a guava and tequila in my new Banter on the Rocks cup. So got one for Tim as well. So next time
So
he's
sick.
down, it'll be our little sipping cups for our mixed drinks. Maybe we'll make some beer mugs whenever we do some beer tasting and beer. So yeah, that's what I got today.
Gotta expand that merch label there, Sean. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
That turned out really nice. That looks
it did.
sweet.
It
And
did.
then for me, just going back to the original gin and tonic again. It's what I have right now, but it's always a great go-to. It's basically
It
what I
is.
always have. So again, always refreshing. I love
Yeah.
it. But yeah, we certainly wanted to after introducing those cocktails there, kind of work our way into introducing our guest for today. He is a former coworker of mine, a great gentleman, became a great friend, and we share 49ers football fandom. So another topic I love to talk about, but also Jimmy does too. His name's Jimmy Thompson. Um, and we're thrilled to have him. I'm gonna really love to hear his thoughts on, how the Niners season has
Hmm.
started. I know he plays a little bit of fantasy football, so we can talk about just everything around the league again, kind of
Yeah.
recap week two here. And also with that, he was California native, has since moved to a different part of the country, and we'll certainly get into that and
Hmm.
see how, life has changed, and kind of get his opinion on it. Kind of a common thing to do these days. California is expensive, so
Yes.
and people like to, have change regardless of price.
Hmm.
So definitely interested in hearing more about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, like you mentioned, California is expensive. So you see a lot of people moving out. So, hey, hopefully it doesn't convince me to move to Tennessee or out of state, enjoy California, but you never know.
That's right.
Yeah, awesome. So we'll let Jimmy on in. He's joining us now.
There he is.
What's up,
What's
fellas?
going
How's it
on,
going?
What's
Jimmy?
up, Jimmy?
Hey, John, Tim.
Hey,
Thrilled
welcome.
to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate the invite. I was down to talk sports or anything you guys want to talk about. California, sports, anything you guys want. So we're good to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we'll certainly dive into a lot of it. Kind of introed yourself as sharing my 49ers fandom. You're definitely repping the Niners skin. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Tough week this week, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta love the Brock jersey. That's a sweet jersey. So we'll dive into that, and then obviously you play fantasy football too. So, we'll kind of go around the league and kind of recap week two. We did a lot
Hmm.
with week one, so we're excited to talk about week two. I know there's a
Yep.
lot to go over. So thrilled to have you. Thank you so much for taking the
Yeah.
time to be on here, though, Jimmy.
Yeah. No worries. Thanks for having me.
All right. No, yeah. So, but before we get started with those questions, Jimmy, before we started the show, I got to know you a little bit, but for a lot of the viewers, listeners we have, share a little bit about you. Um, who you are and how you got to know Tim.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me, guys. So my name is Jimmy Thompson. Born and raised in Thousand Oaks or Southern California. Tim and I used to work together in property management. About 3 years ago, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. So my teams that I kind of root for are obviously Niners, Dodgers, and the Los Angeles Kings. Basketball, not so much, kind of one of my least of the sports. Maybe I would say a Lakers fan, but I'm not really rooting for the Lakers while LeBron's on it. When you talk about that, we don't even need to talk about that, to
Hey,
be
wait.
honest.
Love it.
LeBron can just go over there. I'm just, let's, he's the GM, he's the head coach. But
Yeah.
anyways, that's even way too
Yep.
much I wanted to talk about. So yeah, Tim and I know each other for about 10 years or so. And yeah, so living here in Nashville now.
You mentioned you're a 49er fan, but you're also a Dodger fan, which is a very odd combination to have. Um, how did you become a 49er fan living in SoCal?
So I have a very unique or odd correlation to it. So In the early 90s, I was kind of into football a little bit, and my uncle, who's a Giants fan and a Niner fan, lives in Woodland Hills. He kind of got me onto the Niners, and that was when Jerry Rice, Steve Young were
Mhm.
there and went to the Super Bowl. So I think when I was in '94 or something,
Mhm.
that's when it was the Chargers and the Niners. And I was really rooting for the Chargers because San Diego really hasn't had much anything with
Mhm.
championships. So it's like cool. I had like my AFC team, NFC team, and then when the Niners just racked up all the points, like most touchdowns ever in a Super Bowl and all that stuff, it's kind of when I became kind of a Niner
Mhm.
fan and started watching football pretty frequently. So that's kind of where my fandom started, was probably after they won their fifth Super Bowl. So it was like 94, I think, 95. And so, yeah. And then being, raised in Southern California, how can you not be a Dodgers fan? Not an Angels
Yep.
fan, but Dodgers. And, yeah. And then Kings, my wife and in-laws side, my father-in-law's side, he used to have tickets when Gretzky was skating around Los
Okay.
Angeles. So that's kind of where that came from.
Nice.
Love that. Yeah, I know. I feel like we first connected as true Niners fans when we worked back together, and I think Kaepernick Harbaugh era was happening,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
I think that particular season we went up against John's Ravens,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
of course we tried turning off the lights, didn't work. I
Mhm.
love referencing that.
Almost did. You guys got close with that.
Yes, we did in the movie theater room. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was a great room to watch it. We had this like movie theater on the property, and it had like literal theater seats, and it was
Oh,
really
dang.
cool. Big
Hardly ever
screen, got to
used.
watch the, yeah, exactly. That was kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, never even used it. Had access to like DirecTV. So there
Yep.
was Sundays was like, I think we're open from like 11 to 4, 11 to 5 or
Mhm.
something. And so it's Super Bowl Sunday. No one's gonna be like, oh, I want to see an apartment. So Tim and I were like, from the theater room, you could see the front door. Someone walked in to talk about, hey, I want to look at an apartment. That didn't happen. So Tim and I turned on the game.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
That's exactly it. We took I remember every Sunday during football season, company's not around anymore, so no big deal. I took a really long time to clean the office because I knew I had till 11. I put that bad boy on. I watched that fantasy show on ESPN when it first came out, and then that lead weight into the 10 o'clock games. And, hey, it was quite the morning. But yeah, it was a great feature of that community. And, just kind of Niners in general. I know we've talked about a lot of different players, Jimmy. Who would you say is like your number one? Like, who's your GOAT of Niners history?
Maybe Jerry Rice. Um, he's the standard to me. No one's really touched him. So
Mhm.
I would say
Mhm.
Jerry Rice is probably that's who I have as my number one goat of all time right there.
Love it. Were
Nice.
you disappointed that we didn't draft his son?
No, because I mean, I'm sure his son does well. I'm not questioning his son. It would
For sure.
remind me too much of. I mean, you could say the same thing about Frank Gore.
Mhm.
Frank's Gore's son was also in the draft, and I think the Jets or the Bills took him. I
I think
forget.
he's
It
in the
was. I think it was
Bills,
Bills.
the
right?
Bills,
Bills.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Bills. So I'm rooting for Gore's son. I'm rooting for all veteran siblings, veteran little Niners out
Yeah.
there that are doing their thing. I hope that they kick butt and do well. I thought Jerry Rice's son would come to San Francisco, but to me, like, Shanahan and Lynch, they have the secret sauce, and I'm not going to really question their judgment
Mhm.
on things. I
Mhm.
will question the Trey Lance decision. We don't
Yeah.
need to talk about that because I know you
Yeah.
guys talked about that before.
Yeah.
But so someone should have been fired for that. Not naming the two of them, but someone who was whispering in his ear that Trey Lance is the man. But anyways, but yeah, I hope that they prove all, Gore and
Mhm.
Jerry Rice's son. I hope they all prove the doubters and all the 31 other teams that didn't pick them, and maybe they come to San Francisco, maybe not, but I'm always rooting
Mhm.
for them.
What about you, Tim? Who's your favorite all-time 49er?
Oh boy. Well, I love the Terrell Owens days. I
Ooh.
caught like a really late, Jerry Rice, I was born in 92. So, I had a decent amount of him, but from what I remember, I was more TO days. And, he brought just so much like entertainment, and just the skill set was just totally different. The dude was just,
Mhm.
built like a truck, just but super athletic, freaky athletic. And,
Yeah.
he would do things like his touchdown celebrations were so memorable. Like me and my friends used to imitate them. And like we used to play not flag football, but like tackle football on the weekends just for fun. And like we would like pretend we're getting a Sharpie out of our sock and like writing on the football as like a touchdown
Oh man,
celebration.
that's hilarious.
But he was just so like, like there's just so much you could reference off of him. But obviously the phenomenal player he is too.
Mhm.
But I'm probably gonna have to go Terrell Owens,
Owens.
surprisingly. Joe Montana would be up there. Jerry, of course, is up there too.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Nice.
But I'm forgetting Patrick Willis also. That guy's right
Yeah.
there also.
Yeah.
Love it. Have his jersey, had it forever. Dude was just lights out too. But Terrell Owens growing up. Yep.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember watching Terrell Owens, and I thought he was an awesome wide receiver. Really enjoyed watching him.
Mm.
Not a 49er fan, but I think, my favorite 49er was Terrell Owens too, just because of the just his style. And like Tim said, like his touchdown celebrations, just fun to watch, and a great wide receiver. So never rooted for them, but always a fan.
Absolutely.
Mm.
How about Ravens? You want to go all-time Ravens? We can
My
mix it up for you.
my yeah, my all-time Raven, Ed Reed. Biggest fan of Ed Reed, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Just the ball hawk, man. You know,
Hmm.
just great at one of the top defensive players. And like Ray Lewis a lot too, but Ed Reed, I just his play style, man, his swag too. His Hall of Fame bus with his hair, like that's just awesome. The way they made it, looks just like him with his throw. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Ed Reed's my all-time favorite player.
Not Trent Dilfer.
No, I appreciate him getting
What
us
an
to the Super
all-time pull.
Bowl and winning one, just like Joe Flacco. Like, appreciate him, getting us to the Super Bowl and winning us one. Being able to watch that was awesome. So, uh, fan of him, but not an all-time.
Got it.
Trent
Yeah.
Dilfer. I love it.
uh,
Oh man. He's coaching somewhere now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, also I guess, we kind of going right in with this too, Jimmy. What was your favorite era like of 49ers football? Like all the way up till now.
Favorite era. See, it's really weird. People would probably look at eras as like the '90s, early 2000s, that kind of thing. To me, I always feel like who's running the show, who's taking the snaps. It's almost like
Mm-hmm.
you have the Steve Young, you have Jeff Garcia,
Hmm.
and then I guess you could say Alex Smith, and then there was the Kaepernick, and then
Tim Rattay, of course. Don't forget about him. He's great.
I mean, some of the stuff that I would say probably like I don't know about favorite. I would probably say like I think mid to late '90s. I remember like Ricky Waters, Steve Young,
Mhm.
and then early 2000s with Frank Gore.
Mhm.
So it's really kind of it's more of like which team was kind of running it, but I'm excited about what we have right now. There is some, there is energy, there's excitement, there's we've been knocking at the door, and that's probably what's been said all around ESPN is that we're knocking on the door several times.
Mhm.
So it's exciting to be a Niner fan right now. I'm never one of those to be like talking about like, okay, it's got to be this year or never this year.
Mhm.
But with all these expensive contracts that are coming up, and Brock's going to get paid soon.
Hmm.
It leaves you to wonder how much of the talent is going to have to be trimmed, how much of the fat's going to be cut off because of it. But as far as back to your question about eras, it's um, I'd probably say, Steve Young to Terrell Owens timeframe
Hmm.
because there was some electricity going on, there was some energy going on. It just sucked though when Young kept getting all the concussions and those kind of
Hmm.
things. Obviously, concussions suck, but it was just like
Mhm.
when you see the potential there and then you kind of hit these speed bumps along the way. So I'd say around that time.
A great era. Lots of
Hmm.
winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, George
But yeah,
Stephenson.
you preface something there with who's kind of like, I guess, leading the team, leading the helm. Do you feel like Shanahan kind of ranks himself right up there with, all-time great head coaching, the 49ers in
I
general?
I think Shanahan, he's got this humble confidence about him.
Hmm.
He doesn't care where he sits as far as it. He just loves it. I was
Hmm.
watching like a podcast or a reel or something with Julian Edelman, and he was like in the men's restroom or something like that. And this guy just randomly comes up to him, asks him about like, hey, this play on this dime, da, 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 da. And he's like, why did you go that way? And he's like, well, I just did this thing. He's like, okay, and he's gone. And next thing you know, he's like, wait, was that Kyle Shanahan? Like the guy just he breathes this stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
granted, he's Mike's son, so
Okay.
he's coming from a pedigree of that stuff. But I think maybe it stems from what happened in Atlanta and falling apart there. Like he just wants to be at the table with his dad with the
Hmm.
Super Bowl because they're knocking on it, and CMC goes down or he's out for certain the next 4 or 5 weeks or something, and Mason comes in and he held the torch. Not saying
Hmm.
he's not going to carry it. I'm just he got through in the last 2 weekends or something. But I really think it's all about Shanahan is that he's got a scheme where, I do think I'm not trying to undermine Brock Purdy, Kittle,
Hmm.
Dabu Ayuk, those key players. I'm not trying to say that they can't do it, but he either it's next man up or he has a system where it's a plug and play kind of a thing,
Hmm.
and people can just kind of fit into a system. So as far as where he sits and where he thinks he's out on Everest or if he's one of the top
Hmm.
ones, I think he's just like he'll be like, yeah, I'm probably a good coach, but I haven't won it. And that's all he's focused on is
Hmm.
it's almost like, what have you done for me lately? And he's just like, we were just a Super Bowl. We were one or two plays away from winning it. And that's where I think he sees himself is that once it's done and they're the ones standing with the trophy, he's just going to be like, we're on to next Sunday. A little, if he has a little bit of
Hmm.
Belichick in him, I feel like
Nice.
um,
I could see that.
just focused
Yeah.
on what's ahead.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel the exact same way. Like I feel like he could almost lose against himself, if that makes sense. Like sometimes he gets a little too schemy and outcoaches himself,
Yep.
and it doesn't keep it simple at times when
Hmm.
in general it probably could have stayed simple.
Mm-hmm.
But he is an absolute wizard. I feel like with play calling and everything in general. I mean, there's a reason why we've been to a couple Super Bowls with him. We're
Hmm.
always in contention. But obviously so far this season, if we can manage 3, 4 wins here right off the bat. I know that we kind of slipped up this past week, but I guess we just got news today that Debo is going to be out a
Hmm.
couple of weeks as well.
Saw that.
So that's kind of rough. So, hey, hopefully Pearsall can get himself healthy again with everything that happened to him. I'm thrilled to see him. And, Hafunga will hopefully be making his way back shortly,
Hmm.
I think after week 4. Because the secondary needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
We got absolutely cooked. But what's your thoughts so far on like how this season has started? And, week 1 was obviously great, but maybe the
Yep.
transition into week 2 is where it gets a little bit more interesting.
Well, it's kind of like when I talked to you a little bit about like on the phone the other day was that they were on short it was a
Hmm.
short week.
Yep.
CMC was definitely where he's saying like he's not going to be back for week 2 because and now it's obviously he's on IR, so he's out for
Hmm.
4 weeks or whatever it is. Short week. It was also the first road game. And then Tim, what'd you say about Minnesota? The Niners in Minnesota? When's the last time they won?
Oh gosh, it's been like 60 years. I'm probably exaggerating that, but I think or maybe quite literally, it's been 60 years, but it's been a significant amount of time. I'll look it up right now as you're,
Yeah, so like it's been a
yeah.
while. I don't know why. I mean, it's a new stadium. A lot has gone on and that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. But I would say it was the first road game. CMC's out. It was a short week. And if Samuel is injured now and he's out for a duration, so he must have
Hmm.
been maybe he was at 70%. I don't know what he was
Yeah.
running at. Hopefully Trent Williams. I don't really question too much about Trent. Hopefully Ayuk is gotten his head in the playbook more and can catch things better now that he took the whole summer off dealing with negotiations and FaceTiming old teammates. But my hope is that just I mean
Yeah.
I like Ayuk. I think
Yeah.
he has value to him
Hmm.
and stuff. I just didn't like how this thing was like. There's nothing to talk about in San Francisco except for that whole thing. And I
Yeah.
think there's 52 other players
Yep.
on the team. I could be wrong. So that's more of where I was kind of coming from with
Well.
that.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think the Niners went 7-0 last year. They went pretty deep, not losing, and then they lost. They lost three. They lost 3 games. Honestly, I rather all the injuries be now and get
Mhm.
everyone healthy for the
Mhm.
long run, and then also get the loss now.
Mhm.
Rams coming up this weekend in LA. I was actually at last year's. I wanted to check out SoFi. It's a gorgeous stadium, by the way.
Yes, it is.
So I was at the Niners versus Rams. They won, so we've won. But the Rams are just falling apart. I think they're going to be
Hmm.
last in the division because Cup's injured,
Yeah.
Nakua's out, and so I don't know what they're going to do with themselves. But hopefully that'll be a good home cooking, a little bit of
Hmm.
California love, a little SoCal love,
Mhm.
win that one, and then I don't know who they're playing week 4, but you know, get all the mistakes out of the
Hmm.
way, get everyone healthy, and then by hopefully October we're looking, I don't know, 3-2
Hmm.
and go forward from there.
You mentioned Shanahan always has the next man up. For you, is it Ayuk that has to step up? Is it Kittle? Who's the next guy that, because Debo was that guy, CMC was that guy. I think Jordan Mason's already established himself as that guy for CMC until he
Mhm.
returns. Who's next? And, at least that wide receiver.
So I don't know what IU's main demands were, but this guy, I think he's out. He's another. I think he's now top 5, top 6 paid receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted whatever he wanted more than, because I think I could be wrong. I think that's what the initial was 30 million a year, and he wanted more. Whatever else he wanted, I don't really know. Which obviously, if he wanted more, he was going to be in the top, definitely top 5
Mm-hmm.
things. You got your money. I think he's now engaged. Congratulations. It's time to put in the work. And so now, so it's like Kittle got a touchdown last week. He's on my one of my fan. I'm in 2 fantasy leagues. I think 7 or 8 catches, touchdown. I don't ever question Kittle, but Kittle's there to open lanes, block, catch, receive.
Mm-hmm.
He's the workhorse. So I don't really question Kittle because Kittle's always in the mix one way or another. Whether that's either he's getting points on the board or he's providing other people. Mason's
Mm-hmm.
done well for 2 weeks in a row, filling in CMC shoes, which is not an easy task.
Yeah.
I would say it's coming up to Ayuk and then maybe Jennings. Jennings signed a 2-year deal, I think, for 15 mil or
Mm-hmm.
something. And Jennings has been in the mix. I don't really have much on him. And don't get me wrong, if Ayuk walked in my office right now, I'd say hi to him. I'm excited for him to be on the team because I
Mm-hmm.
don't think anything else out there. Because I mean, he knew what he was doing, and kudos to him because a year ago he said he was more the fan base was saying, or the team was saying, he was more ready than Debo was, and obviously because he was trying to come up with a resume to say, look, I want to be paid this much,
Yeah.
and so he got it. So great, you got your paycheck. We're happy for you. We're happy you're on the team, and we didn't get like Pickens or future draft picks, like, because
Mm-hmm.
now's the time. Not to be like now's the time, but it's time to win. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think he had 3 out of 4 catches for 43 yards. He's got to do more. I don't think he's gotten this touchdown for the year right now. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot more works than we expected of him, I would imagine. So I think it's going to be falling on Jennings and Ayuk to step up because we're kind of now with, plan B on the run, or, we have Mason and
Mm-hmm.
McKittle's always in the mix. And then probably Jusek would probably get some more love a little bit
Yeah.
because but he's always in there too.
Mhm. Yeah, and after the Rams, we do have the Patriots, so very winnable.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it could be a good little break. And like you mentioned, anybody's going to get injured. Now's the time. I kind of prefaced it as well. John posed the question to myself about, letting CMC,
Yeah.
do we let him take more time now? And then with how things are going with Mason, how well he's performing, I was all for it. And
Mm-hmm.
even when he comes back, I mentioned a split load even with Mason, and they're super dynamic, and I just feel like they just both fit the mold. So why
Yeah.
not run with it? And
No pun
yeah,
intended.
it's yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally. So I just think that it's we have the elements to at least keep winning, and
Mm-hmm.
now's the time to play the Rams. Unfortunately they're really injured. So
Yeah.
it's
Hopefully a good division win.
favorable.
And it's
Yeah.
one our first division win for the game for the year, and go from there. And then what I do like about the schedule is in our favor because I think the rest of the year we're playing. I know we're playing Kansas City in San Francisco, and I
Mhm.
think Dallas is coming to San Francisco. So
They
some of the
are.
big games are big
Mm-hmm.
hot games that look good on paper favor us at home. and that's later
Nice.
in the season. So hopefully we can just get some confidence, get the ball running, and go from there.
It's a great point. Yeah, we actually have them back-to-back weeks too in October. So that's going to be quite the
Oh,
fun.
we faced those two back to back,
Yeah, Chiefs are the October 20th, and then we have Cowboys 27th. So
and then there's a bye shortly after that, or leading up to Kansas City or one of them, I think.
correct. I think it's the bye is looking like after the Cowboys, and then we got the
Okay,
Bucks. Bucks are a
okay.
good team too.
We're thinking
But
about
yeah.
going to that game.
Oh, at the Bucks.
Thinking about it. Yeah, we're not too far.
Nice.
I mean, it's a good
Is
about
that
8 hour,
drivable?
eight. Oh yeah, 8 9 hour drive.
Okay.
So yeah, thinking about it.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Well, be fun.
Yeah, I like it. I know you said that you ventured over to Atlanta, right? For a
Yeah.
game a couple years back.
So when Garoppolo was running the show, so that was like, oh yeah, that was the first year we were here. So 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy G and Niners came to Atlanta. They lost, but it's a gorgeous stadium. The
Mhm.
Mercedes-Benz Arena is gorgeous. So it was a really cool place to go there. But yeah, where we are, it's literally 4 hours east. So we left at like, I don't know, 6 7 in the morning. Got there, went and had breakfast or something, and then did that, and then came back the evening, and that was it. We did the same thing when we saw the Dodgers play. No, we did a weekend. We saw the Dodgers go to Truist Park, and that was fun.
Did you want to jump into some fantasy too, John? Is it,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down to always talk fantasy when Jimbo
No, yeah.
certainly has has a couple teams going. I'd love to hear about it.
Sure. Yeah, you want me to tell me I'll tell you my lineup or who I
Yeah,
got. I'll tell
and
you my
then
key players.
that would be great. And then, maybe somebody that if you could say somebody that you wish you could have drafted but couldn't get your hands on, and it doesn't have to be
Oh,
like a first rounder. It could be somebody like kind of like a sneaky play, that you wanted and maybe just
Mhm.
didn't.
yeah. So okay. So I have a family league. So it's a bunch of family members. And then I have another one with my church. Weird enough, my church is actually doing fantasy football. It's kind of crazy, but
Very
I'm all
nice.
for it.
Love it.
So I
Yeah.
might reference the two different teams. So in my family
Great.
league, I won't give the whole 15 people, but I'll give like key players. So I have Lamar Jackson, I have Cooper Cup, Godwin. Godwin's doing great. Didn't
Oh
Mhm.
expect
yeah.
that from him. Derrick Henry, Achan, Kittle, Pollard, and then who else do I have in the on the bench? And then I have AJ Brown and Walker from Seattle. Some of the players on that one. And then on the church one, sounds so weird, but it's all good. Um,
Hey, church gets competitive, huh?
let's see. Yeah, exactly. I guess so. I have, let's see, I have Achan and Cup on that team as well. I have Mixon, St. Brown, Rice from Kansas City, and then I
Mhm.
have, oh yeah, so I do have Purdy, but I'll just say this: I have three top receivers, which is Cup, St. Brown, and Adams from
Mhm.
Raiders. So that kind of gets a little tricky sometimes of like, well,
Wow. Yeah.
who's going to be my two wide receivers and who's going to be in the flex spot.
Mhm.
So in one league I'm 2-0, and the other one I'm 1-1. Um, but to answer your
Stacked.
question, I would um, when I was in one league, I forget which one it was. I was like, I had the fourth overall pick or something, and so I thought, okay, so CMC's gone. I think Atlanta's running back's gone, and then Hill was going to be gone. So I was like, okay, so I'm choosing between St. Brown and I'm trying to think who other top receiver was, and it didn't go that way at all. It basically went CMC, Hill, and then who's the other top receiver? The like
Jefferson?
a
CD Lamb?
Jefferson?
not Jefferson, Lamb.
Mhm.
That's who it
Okay.
is.
Mhm.
So then Lamb went, and so then I was like not left with, but then I had like I was expecting to get Lamb
Mhm.
or Hill,
Mhm.
and so I just went St. Brown. So I was
Okay.
like, okay. So as far as who I would probably have, I think I wish I would have given more credit to um, either the Texan players or the Saints players. Um, sometimes I get, I have some feelers on certain things, but sometimes it's like, you hear things about Diggs. Like I don't know if Diggs, Diggs is being fed right now, so he's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
But the Texans were doing great there between Dell and
Nico Collins.
Nico.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they were
Mm-hmm.
doing great. And so
Stud.
I wasn't sure. It's kind of like a toss up because I was like, Stefan's going to go. Like, I wasn't really too sure I was going to be able to get him. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, who do I choose between Tank Dell and Nico? So I wasn't sure. So that didn't happen. And then I had Kamara, I think 2, 3 years ago, and he
Mhm.
didn't really have much left for me at that time. So I was kind of like, I'm not too sure what's in the tank going on at the Saints, but they scored 91 points in
Mm-hmm.
two games. So right now, they're the hot hand right now to be scoring offense. So I'd say probably somewhere in between there of somewhere between giving the Saints a little bit more love. Like I would probably say Kamara. I'll say Kamara is my answer because they're doing great over there.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
Of
No.
all teams to go off.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that was the
but
one
again, it is week
player
2.
too. Yeah, that was the one player I was looking at wanting to grab because he was going really late in a lot of drafts.
Yes.
The mock drafts I've done, and I had this feeling, but when I forget what round, but I didn't want to reach just because there were other players, so I passed. But it's part of the game. I was hoping he was going to fall, but no, he didn't. But I think that's the one player for me that I regret just not reaching a little to get.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, he's kind of back to his old ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of prefaced, I think at one point in early mock drafts, he was going like sixth round in
Mm-hmm.
like 10 or 12 team leagues. It was outrageous. And it's like, this guy's a scoring machine when he has
Yeah.
good offense around him.
Yep.
Maybe it's just a hot start, but he's got it in him and he's
Mm-hmm.
proven consistent. So I just thought that was way too late for him.
Yeah.
The fall off
Yeah.
maybe wasn't that dramatic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how it is with fantasy football. And right now, injuries
Mm-hmm.
are just popping up right now. I think there's seven wide receivers alone that are
I
just
think Cup's on IR now.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it?
Cup,
I did a
Puka.
research. So you have Cup, Puka, Brown, Higgins, Samuel, Allen, and Addison. They're
Brutal.
all out.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So,
Yeah.
but it's only week 2, week 3. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
hopefully by October, get some cold plunges, drink your vitamins,
Yeah.
get better.
Yeah. There you go. Full
Yeah.
plunges.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it.
One question. Do you guys think the Saints are for real? Like the last 2 games, the way they played, Dallas, I kept on, Dallas is a good team. People were saying after their first week that they're contenders. Dak signing his, contract, CD, but New Orleans just destroy them. They kick their butts. Are the Saints someone to really fear, or is it just, the first few weeks?
Who they've, yeah. Excuse me. It could be who they've drawn. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
their first game was against Panthers.
Yeah,
Panthers have just announced that they're not moving forward with they're
Bryce
moving
Young.
their quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Young. So and Dalton, I think Andy Dalton's going to be the starter. So it could be that, and the Cowboys think they're all that in a bag of chips. They should have already won 10 championships by now, and they're still, that's
They
just
do.
Every year's their year, Jimmy. Come on.
every year's their year. I mean, it's just we could do a whole segment on just Cowboys fans because it's like I respect their passion. I do get all that stuff,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's kind of like there is a chance that 31 other teams might do it. Like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Saints have Eagles coming to town, then they're going to Falcons, and then I think their true test week 5, which will be against the Chiefs, but on the road. So
Yep.
we'll see. I mean, you have to think the week 1. The way I kind of summarize week 1 a little bit is, I'll speak for the Niners. The Niners had 2 weeks to prep, get ready for the Jets. They had 2 weeks to figure it all out, and a little bit of the summer, like, well, we know we're facing the Jets, we're facing Aaron Rodgers, and all that jazz. So they had that time. But there's also like a lot of teams like who was it? Like the Bears won. The Bears won week one. Like they
Yeah.
shouldn't have won. But I think there's some people that, they used to be on the Niners or they used to be on another team.
Mhm.
And now there's a little bit of first game jitters or okay, this is not my home stadium. I'm on the road. I'm in Minnesota. I'm in Kansas City. So they get the first game, jitters out of the way. And
Yeah.
then week two, maybe they're on the road or short week like the Niners were. So I think I think the first month is trial and error, see what's working. I mean,
Mhm.
it's also the same thing with fantasy football.
Yeah.
You think like, okay, these are going to be my starters. Like, there's like, I'll speak for Tampa Bay. Like, you think Evans is going to be doing great. I don't know what his numbers are. I'm sure they're pretty well, but
Mhm.
Godwin's done better. And even my
Yeah.
stupid ESPN or my Yahoo app said that was the worst pick I could have picked in my entire rating, and he's done great.
Yeah.
So go figure.
Yeah, you gotta love those like I those AI, analytics,
Mhm.
it says like you
Yep.
have an A+ grade, but then you just like lose out for the whole year.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, going back to the Saints, I definitely feel like I think they'll tail off. I don't think the Cowboys are even as strong as, I know that they haven't really had a good rap in the offseason at all.
Mhm.
Done.
I just think it was back-to-back really subpar teams. Great way for them to start out. I hope they prove me wrong as well. But
Mhm.
Derek Carr, I feel like he just kind of gets into these grooves of 3, 4 week spans where he's lights out, and then all of a sudden it's like, dude, what the hell happened?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
it and he'll tail off. He did it since he was with the Oakland Raiders, way back
Yep.
when. So, but we'll see. They have the elements. They're there. They're all playing well. Shaheed has really turned out to be such a really
Mhm.
great deep threat. Back-to-back games of just super long touchdowns, and Olave is phenomenal. And we don't even really have to reference Kamara, but
Come on.
I mean,
Yeah.
really, he only threw 16 times the whole game. I
Yeah.
guess he just really didn't need to
Wow.
throw more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Rest that arm.
Yeah, exactly. That's the most important thing, maybe.
Mhm.
Defense played well, but I just think it was back-to-back weeks of just meh teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just how it's going to play out.
Yeah,
Yep.
the way I've seen it is I think Derek Carr's just getting lucky. A lot of those
Hmm.
completions, they're like 30, 40 yard, passes. They're all long touchdown passes. So once a team figures out, because like you mentioned, Jimmy, first 2, 3 weeks, you're just feeling teams out. You're feeling your own team out, figuring out the schemes, figuring out, the best lineups and how to, go against these teams, and you start seeing what all these teams that you're going to play in the future are, lining up with. So I think they're going to figure out the Saints, and I think, yeah, they look good right now, but I don't think they're going to keep it up for an entire season.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean,
Yeah,
they typically, I think they do well until we get about halfway through the season. And
yeah,
then it's like, who's the Arizona head coach? He's like, they were who we thought they were,
Yeah. We let him
yeah,
off the hook.
we let them off the hook.
So
And
iconic.
you want to crown them, you
yeah.
crown them.
Yeah. That's right up there with, are we talking about practice with AI?
Practice. Well,
Yeah.
Practice, yeah.
That's right up there for me.
uh, yeah.
Um, yeah, going into, I kind of want to get your thoughts on it because John and I have certainly gone back and forth just about rookie quarterbacks
Mhm.
and just rookie
Mm.
QBs in general. Is there one that sticks out to you this year, and that maybe has been better than you thought? And then is there one that's like, man, I don't think he's got it so far? I know it's 2 weeks, it's tough to judge, but what are your thoughts maybe through 2 weeks?
On the rookie. So who's the rate? We have Caleb Williams, and then the
We
guy
have Caleb
from
Williams. We
Jaden
have
Daniels,
Commanders,
Jaden
Daniels,
Daniels. Then we have Bo Nix.
Bo
Bo
Nix.
Nix.
We
Okay.
have I guess we can't really compare Drake May sitting on the bench over there.
Or who's the guy that was from Michigan because he tore his ACL?
JJ
Yes,
McCarthy.
yeah,
McCaffrey.
no, he went down
McCarthy.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
McCarthy, yeah.
Um.
I guess we have
So
three.
Yeah.
so we have three.
Yeah.
We have the Commanders, we have the Bears, and we have Bo Nix.
Mhm.
So so I would say two of them are really bad organizations. So,
Yeah.
and I'll let you, and I
Solid
don't know
point.
which if we're going to agree with them, but I would say, well, I'll just go down the lineup, I guess. So Bo Nix, Broncos haven't done really much since Elway, and that was what, like 99. I don't even know.
Hmm.
So I think Bo Nix has potential to do good things, and we'll
Hmm.
see where he's at. But they're 0-2. They haven't won, right? Or have they won?
Correct. No, yeah, they're on two.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so then you have the Commanders guy.
Did
I
McDaniels.
think they're yeah. So I think he used to play for LSU, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Heisman.
So
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of secretly cheering for him, and for this one reason only. So he didn't win did he win the Heisman, or
Hmm.
he was a nominee?
He did win it. Hmm.
Yeah. He was a
He did
winner.
win it. So I think it was him, but he had a jacket on um, at the thing, and inside the liner, he had all of his players' signatures on there, and I
Okay.
was like, "That's a cool guy," because he gets it. It's a team
Yeah.
sport,
Yep.
and so I'm kind of secretly like not secretly, but I'm kind of like rooting for him. But the Commanders or the Redskins or whatever they want to be called right now, they're not. They're kind of they're dysfunctional from Dan Snyder days, and they haven't really
Hmm.
done much since then. Caleb Williams, everyone's just slurping the Gatorade. I mean, maybe he's going to be a great person. Maybe he's going to be whatever it is. But
Yeah.
I know I'm not really answering the question, but I am answering the question. There's something going on. I don't know if it's the cheese in Wisconsin or what's going on, but you had Brett Favre, you had well, I can't think of his name, the
Rogers.
Jets guy now,
Sure.
Rogers, and then you
Hmm.
have Jordan Love. But there's something to be said about a guy sitting on the bench with a clipboard for the next, 2, 3 weeks, 2, 3 years, taking notes to then do well. And unfortunately, I think it was like 4 or 5 years. Rogers sat behind Favre because Favre was like, "I'm not. You have to pull my dead body out of this
Yeah.
behind the offensive line." But he learned and he did well and won I think, four MVPs, a Super Bowl, and so there's something about that.
Hmm.
Caleb is probably going to be a great player. I don't know if you guys saw the Hard Knocks with the Bears. Um, but here's the thing. And this is the last thing I'll say about the Bears or that whole thing is you had Mitch Trubisky was a franchise quarterback, and you had Justin Fields as a franchise quarterback. Are they playing for the Bears now? And that goes back to 2017. So that's
Yeah.
7 years ago. They've had two other franchise quarterbacks, and Fields right now is 2-0, and the Bears are 1-1. And they're. Did you guys watch the Hard Knocks the
Yeah.
Bears?
Yeah.
So there was a
Hmm.
scene there. I watched one episode with my wife because I was just kind of into it, and the punter was saying like, "I don't want my name to be known. You don't want a punter name to be out there or anything like that."
Hmm.
You guys saw that, right? He said that.
Hmm.
Well, the punter's made his name known because he's had 8 punts
Hmm.
in last game. So
Yeah.
he's making a name for himself
Yeah.
more than Williams is.
Hmm.
What's
Okay.
your thoughts? Who do you think is doing
I,
well or better than you expected?
from what you say, Tim has to stop drinking that Gatorade with
Yeah.
following Caleb Williams. But I agree, Jimmy.
I
I
love
I would say I
it.
drink a little bit of the Gatorade. I think Caleb Williams could be a great quarterback, but like you mentioned, I think a lot of these young QBs they have to sit for a year. I think if you throw them in, that's where they struggle. I think CJ Stroud is one of those outliers that did well year one and is still doing awesome. Um, I think we talked about it. Tim Patrick Mahomes, he sat on the bench for a year or two before he started. Now look at him. Might he
I
be the
Alex
same?
Smith.
Alex Smith, yeah. Might he be the same player if he was playing from year one? Who knows? Maybe not. So I think Jaden Daniels is the best QB so far. Out of these three
Hmm.
rookies, Bo Nix, he's just
Yeah.
Broncos just don't have anything around him. Running backs, I don't even think they know what they want to do. Wide receivers, what Cortland Sutton is their top receiver, and he's also just not that great, injury prone.
Yep.
So
Judy and Patrick left. So
yeah,
Yeah.
but
mhm.
yeah,
The only person in Denver is John Elway. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The only one that stuck around.
Yeah.
Past his time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, I've certainly been on the Caleb bandwagon. The people love me for it too, I will say.
Yeah.
I'm having a field day with it. But hey, he's 1-1 through two. I'm still my hot take for the season was the Bears will take that division. Uh, we'll see how it goes.
And
Detroit's
they've
awfully good.
Detroit, and who else they have?
Minnesota's playing really good as
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
well.
And who's the other
Green
one?
Bay's
Green
there,
Bay.
and they
All
won
right.
with Malik Willis. But hey, they're right in there.
Yeah.
Just they're still in it.
Let's touch base
Two
in
games through.
December.
Good point. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see. We should just do like a little stat cast of Bears
Yeah.
record in the corner. Um, I'm not even like really a Bears fan. I think a lot of people think I am because I bring them up a lot.
Mhm.
But I just think it's an exciting new team. And they drafted the number one overall pick, which doesn't always work out. I think that's pretty
Yeah.
evident. But situations matter, like you said, and pieces around, like you both mentioned, is a huge part of it.
Well, I just think it's also interesting that, they did the whole song and dance around Fields. Is he staying?
Mhm.
Is he going or something? And then they boot him
Mhm.
off to
Mhm.
Pittsburgh. And then all of a sudden they were like, they picked up, was it Keenan Allen from the Chargers?
Mhm.
They picked up, they just picked up a bunch of not like, not Justin Fields, not CNC people, but people known them.
Mhm.
And I don't recall everyone that was on the Browns prior for what it was, but all of a sudden it's like, cool, we have our number one. We need to give him help. And it's like, well, why didn't you do that with Fields? But
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, but I think it was like new head coach. It's like, he's like, and I kind of get it. It's like, if I'm a new head coach of this team and I want to ride or die, or I don't want, I want my job to be on the guy that I wanted, not someone I was left over with. But I think Fields is, he's 2-0 right now, and we'll see where that is. It'll be fun when Fields goes back to Chicago. I don't know. I don't think it's this year. I think it's down the line.
Mhm. Yeah, and I feel like you bring up a good point too, because another thing that does come to mind, I kind of prefaced this in a comment we received on one of our Bears short videos that we've posted. But I feel like there's some added pressure to Caleb, so
Mhm.
far. I think
Mm-hmm.
that there's a head coach that's kind of fighting for his life, to be quite honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
to remain head coach there. Because if this season doesn't go too well, he could be on the chopping block. They were even talking
Mhm.
about it last year.
Wow.
And that added in with they put all these elements around him, so it's like,
Mhm.
okay, now go out there and perform. We've all kind of I feel like in general, I think the three of us, John and I talked about this last week, but now yourself kind of are in somewhat agreement with the Tom Brady theory of starting behind somebody, taking your notes, and then you jump
Mhm.
into the game
Yeah.
and you get a better understanding at first. Because the levels between college and NFL is so drastic.
Yeah.
Some players can obviously do it in a snap. CJ Stroud is a great example of that. But it's not for everybody. It depends on the schemes
Mhm.
you run in college and who you are, and um I think it all plays factors. But maybe that's an added part. I'm not part of that locker room, so I don't really know.
Sure.
But that's just my thought.
Tim, when you got your
We'll see.
driver's license, did your
Hmm.
parents say go on the freeway first, or did they take you on some side streets?
You know, I really wanted to go on that freeway, but we took some side streets for
Mhm.
sure.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sit back with a clipboard.
Yep.
You know, I
Absolutely.
mean, I do get it. I do. People are trying to, like, just like with Texas, University of Texas, their quarterback and I apologize to the
Oh,
college fans or
Ewers,
something like
Quinn
Ewers.
Ewers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
he
Arch
he got
Manning lit it
injured or
up.
he
Yep.
came out, but Manning's like nephew came in, and the fans went nuts, and he did
Mhm.
well. Everyone's eager to see that kid, get in there and spit out,
Mhm.
four Super Bowls and two wins and all that, two Super Bowl wins and stuff. So everyone's hungry, and the Bears are been deprived for, I don't know,
Mhm.
50, 60 years to win it. I get it. But at the same time, it's kind of like, do you want the quick, you don't know what's going to happen, or do you want to play the long game here? And I think you know, I think he's sitting for a year or something would be beneficial, or even just kept Fields there, have
Mhm.
Caleb be mentored, quarterback competition it, and then build up Fields as best you can. get some draft picks, and go from there. But again, to the same point. Trubisky was a franchise quarterback, and so was Justin Fields, and that was
Mhm.
in 7 years they've had three franchise quarterbacks. So we'll touch base with Tim in December and see where we're at, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll be
Yeah.
back on for sure. You can just roast me because I'm sure it won't be great.
Also, yeah, it'll be a good. It'll be we can do it, but like a preview to playoffs or something. See where we're at
There you
with the
go.
Yeah.
playoffs.
Love it.
So
Love it.
Yeah. No, for sure.
There we go.
But
Maybe we're on
yeah,
top of the division.
no, for sure. Yeah, and I think thinking about that a little bit, I think of like the Broncos. They've had a lot of top tier drafted quarterbacks that they thought was the franchise changer, and none of them have worked out. The Redskins too. What was it? Sam Howell. Who else have they picked up? All
oh
these
my
quarterbacks
gosh.
are they're like this is going to be the change, and it's like why haven't they learned from it? And I think it's like what you mentioned, Jimmy. It's that hunger. It's like you want to win. You need a win to sort of be known. But there has to be a different approach. 49ers did a good thing. Brock Purdy. Someone who probably in everybody's mind wasn't going to be a starter ever, and he ended up working to it. Sitting for I don't know
Yeah,
if he sat for almost a full first year behind Trey. You know, got to
yep.
see the flow of
I
the
mean, that was a
game, and
crazy year.
yeah, so like I said, there's only a few of those young QBs that could jump into it immediately, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for him. I'm sure Caleb's going to do well. I don't have anything
Uh,
against the Bears or something. It's just more of like it's like you got a brand new Porsche, and guess
yeah,
what you want to do? You don't want to sit in the dry, you don't want to sit in the garage. You want to take it
yeah,
out. I get all that, but at the same time, it's like I watched it, and there was the guy from one of the podcasts, or something. He was all like, he's like, I want to call you the savior, but I'm not. I'm just going to hold off on that. And it's like, can he take a snap in a regular
Yeah.
setting, and then we just figure it out?
hmm
Figure it out. Just pump the brakes a little
yeah,
bit. So maybe he's going to do great, but right now, Love with Packers, Detroit is firing on all cylinders, and what was the other team again?
Minnesota.
Um,
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Darnold
They're
revival.
Hmm
you could almost just do a little playoff game with those four teams of who's going to come out of that. That's a
Yeah,
crapshoot. You don't know
yeah,
what's going to come out of that just right there. So he's in the fire right now, which that division is very exciting right now. It's exciting to see
hmm
them play.
Yeah, I feel like the Vikings have really outperformed their expectations so far,
hmm
for sure.
Yeah, who knew what was going to happen with Cousins bailing? I didn't even know Cousins was on the way out or what was going on with that whole
Mhm.
thing. And so it's interesting to see what Sam Donald has done. He took some time to be in San Francisco, probably built up his confidence, be in a normal, healthy,
hmm
work environment, so to speak. And so from there, he then went to Minnesota, and he was probably just planning on being there for a year or two because then they
yeah,
got like was it JJ McCarthy or something
yeah,
from Michigan.
hmm
So we'll see
Mhm.
how that pans out. But
yeah,
kudos to Minnesota. They're doing well. They're 2-0. I think
yeah,
they're leading the division or leading that division right now.
yeah. Yeah, and like you mentioned with that, Jimmy, the revival of the QBs. We talked about it last week with Baker Mayfield. Leaving those toxic
Mm,
environments, sitting behind, other quarterbacks, learning from other teams, just what a real team is. Because where Baker went to what the Rams for a year, he went somewhere else.
yeah.
You know,
For 4 games, I
Carolina.
think it was just like
yeah,
he went to the Rams for like I think like
yeah,
December, like right at the trade deadline. He was like, so he came there. It was like he
yeah,
was cut. But where else he went? He went to
Carolina.
Carolina,
Carolina,
Hmm.
yeah,
and then who was he originally drafted at? Was it the Browns?
Cleveland, yeah,
Browns.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, those
So
players that like start at those like you could sort of say toxic, teams because like the Browns are the Browns, the Bears, you know, Denver right now, Washington, Carolina, like those QBs haven't worked out. Sam Darnold was in Carolina, and now look, he's been a journeyman and now he has his chance in Minnesota to do well and even find a way to get paid for a few years that a team will want to take that chance on him because he is a veteran.
sure.
He knows the game. He knows the speed of the game. So, that's really cool with Sam Darnold. I think it's the same with Baker Mayfield. A reviving season for him where he could He's looking solid. That's a playoff team, I think, and who knows how far he could go.
It's exciting, but that should also be a lesson for for us here as well as your
Yeah.
listeners and stuff like that. Is that you can always find other places where you could be valued.
Hmm.
If you're in a situation where you don't feel valued and appreciated,
Hmm.
maybe it's not you, maybe it's the environment that you're in,
Yeah.
just bad expectations or whatever else it is. But no, we're happy to see other guys have second chances and
Hmm.
to showcase their talent and be somewhere,
Yeah.
instead of just like, oh, this guy was a top quarterback and then it came to fruition, kind of like Robert Griffin III. I
Hmm.
always hear people talking about him, how he got too many, he didn't learn to slide enough or too many injuries, and now
Hmm.
he's an analyst on CBS or whichever show it is. So no, we root for all that. We always want
Hmm.
you know good players to be successful. So
Yeah.
we root for everyone and want them to be successful, unless they're a Cowboys fan. But
I second that. Yeah.
Um,
Can't stand the Cowboys. I always roast our friend Danny
oh,
a
is that
ton for
right?
it. Oh yeah. Every year is
yeah.
his year. I always say that. But no, he actually has come back down to earth, and then he kind of
Mhm.
turned that into how I convinced myself the Niners were going to win last year. So, good rebuttal.
Yeah,
They've seen
I
me.
mean, it's good.
Yep,
So
it happens.
yeah.
Mhm.
No doubt. But yeah, I think another topic that we kind of want to dive into was just your big move out
Okay.
of California in
Yeah.
general. And venturing over to where you're at now, and I guess that whole transition. If you just kind of want to go
Mhm.
over that, because I think there's been John and I kind of prefaced it earlier, just a big exodus of California and people
Mhm.
moving around in general. So
Sure.
it's happening.
Yeah, so I mean, I will say I'm a little bit older than Tim, just by a few years, but yeah, I think over the last, like, I would say, gosh, so I've been married for about 20 or 17 years, but right as I got married, my wife's mom's side of the family all moved to Colorado. So I feel like, there's these waves,
Mhm.
and so, like, as much as I can recently remember was the one that directly impacted me or influenced my life was 20 plus family members moved to Fort Collins, Colorado. And then I think there was, like, I think, so that was like about 15, 20 years ago. And then there was people that have gone to Texas a little bit on that movement. And then I think 3 years ago we moved to Nashville, but I think most of the moves have been going to Boise, Idaho. That's been a
Mhm.
very popular thing for people. So my family, this kind of happened all around COVID. So different things kind of happened. So it's me. I got a family for. I got two daughters and my wife Beth. She's amazing. So I've been married for 17 years, and then my sister-in-law and her husband. The four of them. Now it's five as of a week ago. No, on
Awesome.
Tuesday it'll be a week. They just had their first boy, so now we have a
Nice.
boy in the mix. We had four girls. So I have two of them. They had two girls, and now they have a boy. So I have a
Nice.
nephew. So that was my
Nice.
early birthday gift. It was my birthday on Friday the
Congratulations.
13th.
Awesome.
Friday the
Yeah.
13th.
Hey,
13th.
there you go.
So
Very
so
cool.
um so they moved. So they had their own little conundrums going on in
Mhm.
California, and then my father-in-law and his wife. So all of us, it was 2021, January 2021. We, um, basically, Janelle's family, that's my sister-in-law, my family, and my father-in-law, we all got in a plane, flew to Texas, and then we went to Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, North, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. We were gone for about a month. We stayed at some Airbnbs, and we basically were just um, scouting different areas of where to go. And so,
Mhm.
I love California. I do miss beaches. I miss In and Out. We are getting In and Out here in 2 years, so it won't be too
Whoa.
long.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so yeah, they're building a distribution center here in Franklin. We're not
Okay.
in Franklin. We're about 30 minutes from Franklin.
Mhm.
Um, so In and Out's coming. They just broke ground on this big, 100,000 facility thing. So
Wow.
very excited about that. Um, so beaches, strawberries in California are great, especially in Oxnard.
Mhm.
It's wonderful there. Good Mexican food. You don't find Mexican food here in Nashville. It's crap. It's just, I'm not even gonna It's junk. And I miss friends and family. Um, but it was just time different that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Cost of living in California, you guys know, it's just kind
Mm-hmm.
of getting a little crazy out there. I think the average house right now, I feel like I'm crazy saying this. I feel like every house right now is about $1 million. It doesn't matter what it.
Yeah, in
Yep.
Ventura County, it's pretty much about 1 million, high 800s. And the way the market is, I think you have to be paying 1 million just to get into a house, so
Yeah,
it is
it's
ridiculous.
it's crazy. So it was a little bit of cost of living. So it wasn't like one thing. It was
Hmm.
just like the cost of living, kind of the crime going on in
Hmm.
California, and but yeah, there's other stuff. But we do miss home. Just the other day, I was talking someone. I saw someone on social where someone was like, "If you haven't been to a Giants game, San Francisco Giants game, you got to go to their game. It's one of the gorgeous stadiums." I've been there one time, and it's honestly something I was thinking. I was like, "Man, I really would like to go there some point soon and just kind of like look over the bay and
Hmm.
and that kind of thing." But so I do miss parts of it. We were just there in August. We went to Disneyland a couple times
Nice.
and did some fun things. So we do visit. We see some my brother and my mom still live in Thousand Oaks, so they're still
Okay.
there and still have some friends and family. But a lot of people, as you guys are saying, they've all kind of like they've moved
Hmm.
to Boise, um, Texas, or Florida. Florida is the other
Hmm.
big thing. I feel like it's right now. It's going Boise, Texas, Florida, and Tennessee's getting some love in between all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but it was a good move for us. It's different, but
Hmm.
it's just good. And so just California is the place that it's not the same anymore. But again, I'm not the same person I was 20, 30 years
Yeah.
ago. So change is eventually going to happen. It's just it's heading in a direction, or it's in a direction that I didn't really want my kids to be around some of that stuff. So
Hmm. No.
Sure.
And you mentioned it, Jimmy. When you went to Texas and then you went to all these other states, what made you choose Tennessee, Nashville, out of all those places you visited?
so yeah, I'm not a gambling man. I am doing fantasy football, but but I would have if I would have put money on it, I would assume we were going to be in. I would have probably assumed Texas, Florida, maybe then Tennessee. Um, Texas, just it's a bigger state. There's
Hmm.
sports, all that stuff. But I'd have to. I don't know what I would do with myself because the obnoxious as a Cowboys fans, because we would definitely been in the
For,
was it Dallas Fort Worth area,
hmm.
which would just been the hub, and the Houston Texans. 3 years ago, they were all they were known for is J.J. Watt and
Hmm.
Deshaun Watson and his whole mess. So I was like, okay, it can't be a this is not my fan base for me. So the problem with Texas was it's one of the highest property taxes
Hmm.
in America. Um, it's also massive. So it almost feels like California just like squished and spread out like a pizza because you could drive like 8 hours and still be in Texas. It's just
Hmm.
massive. Not saying it's a bad thing. It's just like, it's just, and everything was flat. So there's a little bit of that. Um, but then I'm glad, I didn't realize like the summers are just brutal. Like, and
Hmm.
that doesn't even, I'm not even try to think I understand what the humidity and the heat is in Texas. I'm just happy I didn't get to experience it. And so I'm glad we're not in Texas. Florida, I thought Florida beaches, no state income taxes, um, and Mickey Mouse is here. So I thought Florida would be a good
Hmm.
compromise to California. Um, and I still think we might move to Florida at some point once the kids get a little bit older or something like that.
Hmm.
So that's going on. Tennessee was kind of a little bit of a wild card because we spent a full week in Texas. We spent like a full week in Florida or 4 or 5 days, and then we did a whole another week at Mickey Mouse World. So it was
Hmm.
like, and we've been to Florida multiple times.
Hmm.
So when we went to Tennessee, we did it. So we had to time these things. It was a 5 week journey, and so so we would stay there for whatever. So we had to time it right because my father-in-law and my brother-in-law were doing work remote. So
Hmm.
we'd have the weekends where it's like, okay, we're gonna work. They're gonna work halfway through half day Friday, and so from Friday to like Sunday night, we have to be from, let's just say from Georgia to Florida, or we have to be at our next Airbnb because they have to log in and do work.
Hmm.
And so we had the
Okay.
weekends to do this. Well, when we went to Tennessee, we literally drive. Where were we? We were in Arkansas. We were in Arkansas for like 5 days, and it's like there's nothing in Arkansas except Walmart. No offense, Arkansas. I'm sure you're great. It's all Walmart because that's where it was
Yeah.
founded, and it's good, but
Uh-huh.
there's just nothing there. So we went to the Walmart Museum. That was like the only thing to
Wow.
do, and
I didn't even know they had one.
Be a
Nice.
Razorbacks fan.
Yeah.
So it's not going to work, you know.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not going to work. So I think we drove from Arkansas to Tennessee, and it was literally our Tennessee experience was we came in Friday night, we went down to downtown or Broadway, if you
Mm,
know, Nashville area. We went to the downtown.
mm.
Saturday, Sunday, we were there, and then Monday we were out to another place. It was the minimal amount of days we stayed was here, and the only thing I can tell you from the experience I remember was we got a parking ticket and we put in the wrong license plate in the parking stall, so we had a big old boot on our car, and that was my experience in Nashville. And I'm like, how the heck did we end up with this? So that's the long story, but the simple answer was, um, my father-in-law was like, he wasn't really digging Texas. He was like, I'm busy with work. I'm busy with work. And my
Mhm,
sister-in-law was like, oh, well, this neighborhood, that neighborhood, like let's look
mhm.
here. And then Lars, my father-in-law, love him. He was just like, I'm busy. Like I don't have time for this crap. Like I'm just too busy. Then we go to Florida, and Janelle's like, hey, Janelle, like Lars is like, he's driving the car and he's like, hey, let's look at this neighborhood. Let's look at this neighborhood. Oh, I
Yeah.
can get a golf cart and pick up the grandkids and we go down to the beach and da 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 da. And it's like, Janelle, come on with us. And she's like, I'm dying. The humidity here is
Yeah.
horrible. And we're like, what the heck's wrong with these two? The two of them, they were total bipolars.
Opposite.
They clearly had their own horse in the race, if you will.
Yeah.
And so we had a team meeting after our, like, I think 2 month or a month after the trip. We kind of wrote down our pros and cons and stuff. And we kind of mutually agreed that Tennessee was the place for us. And so my sister-in-law lives about 3 miles one direction. My father-in-law lives 5 miles another direction.
Okay.
And then down about 6 months or a year later, my mother-in-law, my wife's mom, she moved here and she lives about 4 miles from us.
Okay.
So we have a little like crew, as some people
Hmm.
say.
Your little
So
hub.
it's good. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's kind of the long or the skinny of how we moved to Tennessee, I guess you could say.
No, that's
But it's
awesome.
great. We live in a capital state. We're 9 miles from the airport, and 9 miles is only 20 minutes versus what LAX is.
Yeah.
And we have the Titans, the Predators, and we have a minor league AAA baseball team here, which is kind of cool, the Nashville
Hmm.
Sounds.
Mm.
And there's always music going on, so it's
Hmm.
great living in a capital state.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, Tennessee seems like a really fun place
Hmm.
to visit. I think that randomly, Jen is like my wife Jen is super obsessed with the Titanic, and I think there's like a really
Oh.
cool Titanic museum there, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like they have like artifacts from the Titanic, and there's this whole build of Tennessee. And maybe you can just be our boots on the ground there, Jimmy, and just venture on over there and film it
I can
and
We
see
can
how
do
it is.
FaceTime or something like
But no,
that.
I've
We can
seen
do
some,
something, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, it's in Pigeon
I've seen some.
Forge. Yep, Pigeon Forge.
Okay.
It's a big tourist.
Hey.
It's kind of like Knott's Berry Farm, like Buena Park kind of a
Oh,
thing. A
Mm,
big
okay.
touristy area. Dollywood's over there. It's about
Oh,
3 hours from
cool.
here. But yeah, the Titanic Museum
Okay.
attraction in Pigeon Forge. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. It looks cool. Like they've really built it up well. And I don't know, I just saw like random videos on it and it just looked like a cool little, I guess, museum for it.
museum. Yeah.
Um, But no, that's really sweet. And something that definitely comes to mind was like, because me, for example, my son was born in Arizona,
Mm.
and my wife and I had moved out there. We lived there for about a year and a half, and just pretty much got scorched, and our smoking butts came all the way back to California again because it was just way too hot.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't blame you.
and of course we missed. Yeah, my parents live out there still. I think maybe when you're a little bit older, it's nice and
Hmm.
it's relaxing, whatever.
Yeah.
But
It's too hot.
just Yeah, no, I
Nope,
agree. I was there during a 128-degree day and it melted the
nope.
weather stripping on my
You
car.
still feel it.
I'm
Yeah,
yeah, oh God.
nope.
Yeah, I'm always red, so it makes sense.
Got the
Yeah.
manner
It
red.
just spoiled me. Yeah, yeah. See, I got it back there. It just matches my skin tone. Uh, but we tried it, but I feel like in general it was really tough for us to leave family, and
Sure.
all of our friends and family are nearby. And do you feel like it was a little bit easier for you because like you mentioned, a lot of folks went from your family went to Boise or Fort Collins. Do you feel like that made things a lot easier for you guys?
It's probably on it's the answer is yes, and I think I
Hmm.
vastly underappreciate what that is. Like, I think I've had friends of ours that they moved here and or they'll go out or something like, "Oh, I need to get a sitter," and I'm like, "Get a sitter? What is? Oh, paying people?" And it's like it's just weird because
Yeah.
I've just been fortunate because my wife has a massive like my wife when I first met, I had 8 people on my side, and that's like distant uncles and like 8 people.
Hmm.
My wife has like, there's a lot of people. My mother-in-law is one of 6 kids, and each of them, except for one, each of them have a bare minimum of 3 kids. So
Wow.
there's that whole side.
Yeah.
And then my father-in-law, he's always available and different things. So, and my sister-in-law, she's happy to help. So we've been very blessed
Hmm.
to have that family available nearby. And when I talk to people like Tim, you bring up a good point of just moving to Arizona, you're just kind of making it out on your own, figuring it all out. When
Hmm.
you have that support system, it's probably honestly, I probably couldn't even I vastly underappreciate it because
Hmm.
I've just it's always been there. Even when we had our first daughter, Caitlin, who just turned 13 on the second, we had a family member watching her when we were both working, and it was free daycare,
Hmm.
which daycare is expensive as it is.
Yeah.
So it's just we just God has just provided in different ways, and we've just been very fortunate to have that support system here.
Yeah. And I think that's what I've seen with a lot of people that move out because, yeah, California's expensive. They hear going to Texas, going to Tennessee, Atlanta, it's the way to go. But when you go alone without the support systems, I think that's where people they start coming back and then trying to come back to California. I think it's near impossible.
It's
It,
much harder.
it's it's so much harder because you're leaving, you're getting used to that new area and then coming back to California, it's going to be even more expensive than when you left. It's going to feel that way.
Sure.
So,
Especially if you sold your house and all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
it's just gonna be harder. It's like what do they say? It's like cost of entrance. The cost of
Hmm.
entrance re-entering back in California is
Hmm.
just a lot more. And
Yeah.
so it's hard. It's hard when I see people leave and then come back
Hmm.
and doing that stuff. And it's just hard when you don't have the support system. So it's something
Hmm.
that I honestly just don't
Yeah.
I vastly underappreciate it. Not a good way. I'm just saying
Yeah.
like it's something that I've just you get it.
I completely agree with that sentiment because when we went to Arizona and we came back, there was a ramp up period, of probably
Hmm.
like 2 years before you get a job with, that meets your expectations of pay a little
Mm,
bit better than
Hmm.
what you re-entered at. Because the pay difference between Arizona and California is pretty drastic. I'm
Hmm.
sure it's a little bit more similarly matched because Arizona, maybe recently, Arizona's gotten really expensive.
Hmm.
It's not quite as cheap as it once was, but it's still, have a feeling that the pay difference is, there's still a discrepancy there. So you guys nailed it, that reentry fee of coming back to California, and you probably don't have the same rent or maybe the same purchase
Hmm.
price of the house you had before. It's just gone up and keeps going up. So, it's a very,
Hmm.
valid point. But in general with Tennessee, Jimmy, is there like something out there that you feel like, um, you guys have found a ton of enjoyment in? Is it like, site visits or, certain parks or like what makes kind of like Tennessee unique?
Well, one thing that's fun is I think Tennessee is connected to 11 other states, whereas California is connected to 3.
Hmm.
You can
Hmm.
drive, what is it? You drive like from Thousand Oaks, you drive 12 hours north and still be in California.
Hmm.
You could go 4 hours, 6 hours east and still be in California. And you can go about 2, 3 hours north and still be in California.
Hmm.
If I drive an hour and a half from Nashville, I'm already in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I've already hit the border of Kentucky. If I go 4 hours east, I'm well, probably even sooner than that. but I'll be in Atlanta. So, and then 10 hours, 10 to 11 hours, I can be in Orlando to go see
Hmm.
Mickey Mouse. And then you go about 8 or 9 miles, 8 or miles, no, 8 or 9 hours south, you can be in the Gulf Shore. And so
Wow.
we did that for my wife's 40th. We went to the Gulf
Hmm.
Shores for her 40th and rented a beach house, and that was super fun. But for me, it's just it's just kind of new and exciting. I have a friend
Hmm.
of mine who used to live in Kentucky, went to school in Florida, lived in California, and then in Cincinnati. And he was telling me it's like, it's kind of like you have to view this as like a little mini adventure. Like, where's your favorite coffee shop? I'm not into
Hmm.
coffee, but that's what he was like. Oh, where's your favorite coffee shop? Or, we try and find good Mexican food. It just doesn't exist here. So you kind of view this as little adventures. So like
Hmm.
there's a place called Nashville Shores, which is like a kind of like not to the same, it's relatively there, but I would say it's like kind of raging waters. So
Okay.
it's there's a little water park that's not too far from us, so we have season passes to that. We have a zoo, a Nashville Zoo. We have passes to that. We share that with my
Nice.
sister-in-law. So it's cool having access to all these things. And Nashville may not be like the number one spot that a band is gonna go on tour with, but it's definitely on number two list because
Hmm.
it's Music City. So, and it's constantly growing. So there isn't anything like particular that I would say. I would say that I like Four Seasons. It's really nice. Not the hotel. The hotel's nice, but I do like having Four Seasons.
Shout out Four
Yeah.
Seasons.
Exactly. Shadow Four Seasons, not a sponsor yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But but so yeah, so there's just little different things, but I would
Hmm.
say their Southern hospitality is always great. It's fun for me to go people watch in Broadway because seeing all the bachelorette parties and all that stuff. Do that
Yeah.
about maybe once a month or once a quarter. Once I've like, okay, cool. So it's still crazy, like little bit of Nash Vegas is what they call it. It's cool to see that stuff. But
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, it's just different. It's just different. I'm 2,000 miles from everything I've ever known, but
Hmm.
it's good to visit that and then kind of start this new exciting adventure out here in Nashville.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds really cool. And that's, from people that I've known that have gone out of state, they share all those like small little gems and what's just so awesome about it. And like I say, I would be interested in moving just because I know cost of living. I think,
Mm,
with what if I can make what I make here and even just selling my own place, I think I'd be able to get a nicer place somewhere else. But like you mentioned, for me, it's the family piece and my family's just
yep.
still here. So it'd be so hard for me to leave that and really start anew alone, just my wife and my kids. So,
Definitely want to preface too, Jimmy. I know yeah, a buddy of yours mentioned going to a Giants game and hitting that up. If you're ever back, up in the North Bay here, right nearby, like 5 minutes from my house, there's a ferry there's literally a Giants ferry that
Okay.
leaves, X amount of time before every ball game, packed with Giants fans.
Okay.
And it drops you off right there in center field, and you take, I don't know, 50 steps and you're within the entrance already. So
nice.
really cool vibe, and it's easy. People who enjoy drinking at games, you don't have to worry about that. Just hop on the ferry, make sure you're there
Sure.
within, I think it's like 45 minutes after the game. But it's super convenient, and that's a really cool aspect up here too. But yeah, no, that's an adventure. I've done it a couple times already, and it's always a good time.
Yeah, I just won't wear my Dodgers jersey because I don't want to be, that's not very, self-inflicting, if you will.
Well, you could. Hey, no shame. I do it at Dodger Stadium every time. So, wearing
I
Giants
get
gear.
it. No, I get
I,
that. But
I,
yeah, no, Giants is it's a very unique spot up there.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful stadium out there.
yeah. I think it
Hmm.
might be a little safer to wear a Dodger jersey in San Francisco than wearing a Giant jersey in LA.
It's a valid point.
Yeah,
That unfortunately is very, very true.
yeah,
That is a hard blemish
yeah.
for Dodgers.
Hmm.
And what's really sad for those that haven't been to Dodger Stadium is there's a police academy at the base
Hmm. Hmm.
of the stadium. There's a police
Hmm.
academy right there. So it's not like police isn't around. That is something of a black eye.
Yeah.
Thankfully, nothing has happened recently.
Hmm.
But it is kind of unfortunate. I guess the compromise I could wear is I could wear like a Jock Pearson jersey
Hmm.
to it, that that
Yeah.
could represent both those. I think Tim knows this. I don't know. John definitely doesn't know this because I just met John for this. But I've been to 22 of the 30 baseball stadiums. I did that one
Oh,
summer.
nice.
So I drove from basically from California to Florida, Florida to Boston, and then I flew home in one of my last years of college. But yeah,
Nice.
I saw 22 baseball teams one summer. It's
Okay.
to about 7 weeks.
All right.
It's pretty
So
awesome.
22 different stadiums, I'm guessing too.
22 separate stadiums. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the California ones we just did, it was me and my friend Aaron. He did
Yeah.
all 30 in one summer. But the California ones, we just did them one by one because
Yeah.
that's really easy. Like we went to Angels, we went to Padres.
Yeah.
Padres is a cool stadium as well.
Mhm.
And then once we took care of California, we did the rip and
Hmm.
we saw 22 of them. So I'm still trying to cross some of them off my list. I got a few of them that I haven't been to, and then there's some that I've already been to, but they have had new stadiums like the
Yeah.
Mets, Yankees, and
Yankees.
the Cardinals. The Cardinals are
Yeah.
about a 6 hour drive for me. So I want to
Mhm.
go take a look at the Cardinal Stadium because that was the last year at that Bush. So they have
Yeah.
a new Bush Stadium, but that new Bush Stadium is like 15 years old now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Out of those stadiums, which one would you say is your favorite? Which one is just like an awesome experience?
I would say probably the Pittsburgh Pirates or
Okay.
the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have it's a very simple, basic stadium, but they have like waterfalls or water
Okay.
fountains in the outfield. It's really kind of cool. It's literally right next to the Chiefs Stadium. They share the same parking lot, so that's kind of cool. And with the Pirates, um, their outfield is into the bay, kind of like San Francisco.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of a cool. You see the skyline,
So,
and they share the same parking lot with the Steelers.
Steelers.
So it was kind of
Okay.
a cool time there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
like that. Best food? Have to throw a
Best
food question in
food.
there.
So it's kind of unique. So the last thing that I kind of remember was I went to my friend Aaron bought 4 tickets to see the Dodgers when COVID hit. Dodgers against the Atlanta Braves. It was COVID, is when they would did the bubble thing, kind of like the
Hmm.
Lakers or the NBA did it, and they did it at the Rangers Stadium.
Oh yeah.
So they have this thing called the broom. The broom is this big like hot dog thing with all the stuff on it and everything. That was really good. Highly recommend that.
That's
Or
legit.
we recently went to the Atlanta park because we saw the Dodgers against Atlanta because they have
Hmm.
now Truist Park. They don't have Turner Field. They have these burgers that it was like 4 fries, burgers, but the bread was waffles. And so
Oh,
my wife and I were like, we both had one of those. Oh, it's called a
okay.
boomstick.
A
Boomstick is what's
boomstick.
at the Rangers, but yeah, but at Atlanta, it was basically burgers. It was like bacon, egg, cheese, I think
Mm.
hash browns, something like that, on waffles.
And waffles.
And so we just had that, and we just shared the fries between me and my girls because my girls were like, I don't want that. There's syrup on it. That was really good. Highly recommend
Uh,
that.
that sounds good, actually. It's a nice little
Yeah,
breakfast,
Yeah.
lunch, burger.
exactly. Get all your 4 meals
Yeah.
or your three
Just be
meals in
done.
one.
Just be done for the day.
Go into a food coma.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a 2 foot hot dog, Jimbo.
Yeah, I
Good
know. So
Lord.
2 foot.
Yeah.
Dang.
yes, it's
It's a lot of
massive.
dog.
It's massive, dude. So yeah, my wife and I split that because it's what's on the top. You read it up. What's the toppings on it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
It's everything.
It is. They put oh, it's a 1 pound dog.
Oh,
It's
man.
chili, nacho cheese, grilled onions. Am I reading the right one? I'm reading the right one, right? Does that sound familiar?
Yeah,
So like chili dog? Yeah, and I
yeah.
guess that's the main thing they preface. Looks like
Boom. Yeah. Let
jalapenos
me
on
see.
there too.
Boom.
Um, Good Lord. I guess they made it into a burger now. So you got
Okay.
to go back and try the burger now.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that sounds
I mean,
good
why
too.
not?
It
Yeah,
does.
sounds awesome.
Why
But
not?
yeah, no, it's massive. It's just it's like, and then of course my wife had to modify it because she doesn't want anything like jalapeno or something like that. But yeah, from what it looks like, it's basically, you got a hot dog, you got like I think it's like a pretzel roll
Yeah.
bun or something like that, and it's like nacho cheese, chili,
Grilled onions,
and I think
jalapenos.
yeah, and that's what
Dang.
sucks, man, because it's like you pay like I think it's like $30. I forget how much it
Yeah.
is. But yeah, good job, good research, Tim. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
when you buy it, it comes with all the stuff. Like as a guy, you're like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna get in this. And you're
hmm
like, hey babe, you're gonna get this. You're like, yeah, but I don't want any onions. I don't want any
Yeah.
jalapenos. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're killing half of the dog. Come on now, like I want the onions. Can you cut? Can you? I was like, all right. I
Yeah.
mean, and so we ate that, but yeah, so we went, but that was the game we went to was so we got ours, my wife and I, we shared that one. Aaron and another friend got theirs, but that was the game. The Dodgers scored 11 runs in the first inning against the Atlanta Braves.
Oh wow.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Hmm.
Food's
Excuse
a
me.
big deal. Like
Yeah.
Giants Stadium, every time I go, instantly it's straight to the crab sandwich. It's
A
like a
crab
$19
sandwich.
sandwich.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. It's grilled garlic toast. And then in the
Okay.
center is just crab meat, kind of like a crab salad, but like crab meat in there. And then you just get a lemon on the side.
Hmm.
It is hands down the best sandwich of all time. It's a go-to and
Nice.
it's easy
Crab
and easy polishing for me. Yeah.
sandwich. Is it
Yeah. They keep it classy over
snapback?
there.
Is that what they call it? What do they call it? Oh no, that's not something. I'm looking up crab sandwich.
If they
I gotta
made a
find this
snapback
sucker.
of the crab sandwich, I would buy that hat. Crab sandwich hat.
Yeah.
The
Crab.
So
snapback.
so here at the Nashville Sounds, they changed up their jersey or something for hot chicken. So on the hat, it was a piece of toast, hot chicken with a pickle as the logo on the hat.
That's
It was kind
Nice.
of
hilarious.
funny.
I like
I
that.
was
Yeah.
like,
That's
I was
awesome.
like, there you go. The crazy crab sandwich, a
Oh,
fan
yes. Yes.
favorite.
19 bucks.
Um,
So worth it.
Dudgeon creme piled between two slices of buttery grilled sourdough. Yum.
It's heaven.
Dude, it's like 12:30 and I'm hungry for that. Let's
Oh,
go.
it's so good. I'm sure there's great crab over there in Nashville, huh? Yeah. Some lake crabs or
No, we do
something.
barbecue. We
Yeah.
do we do
Probably.
we do barbecue, buddy. Come on now.
Yeah.
We got Jack Daniels and barbecue.
There
That's
you
and
go.
good music. That's about as much we got. We don't got no crabs and mouth. That ain't happening. You could probably get it fresher, buying it there, flying, bringing it on a plane,
Yeah,
and coming
right.
back. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Yep.
not here. No
That's
seafood
funny.
here. No, ain't happening today.
Uh,
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys
uh,
don't have the Mexican food, but I swear you guys have the barbecue. The barbecue's
yeah.
got to be out of this world. Yeah,
Barbecue's great. There's a lot of places
yeah,
to go to. Yes,
yeah. No,
so
that
there's good
sounds
stuff for
legit.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got that going for us, but it's hard, man, to find good Mexican food when you live in
Mhm.
Southern California. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
spoiled.
yeah.
But like you mentioned, you'll be getting in and out soon, so that's something to look forward to.
Oh yeah, just
Yeah.
waiting for that day to
A little bit
happen.
of
So yeah, they just broke
California.
ground on that, so we're all excited about that. Yeah, get a little California love, and
Yeah.
you know, but miss some good strawberries and stuff, and the
Mhm.
beaches. That's the hard part. Beaches are, you know,
Mhm.
it's an experience. Yeah, there's some people out there in the world that's really crazy for me is they've never been to a beach, and I'm like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
get in a car and just go, get in a
Mhm.
plane, go, like just go, like just don't ask any questions, like go to a beach. You either love
Mhm.
it or hate it, but you got to experience it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, this past weekend, Theo turned 7, and we went to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, and a ton of
Okay.
rides.
Yes.
Huge amusement
Sky
park. The
cups. Yep.
kid,
Mhm.
yeah, he wanted to spend more time at the beach there than the actual park. He's all beach. So, he had a ton of fun. We put him in some kind of decent, clothes, but the dude just like went full in. It's
Well,
like, you know what? It's your birthday. Have at it,
enjoy
man.
it.
Live
Do your
it.
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
Yeah.
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
Just easier to go with
Got
the flow.
Yeah.
100%. Got to take advantage of the beach for sure. It's a
Yeah.
good one over there. Yep,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Is there
Well,
anything else that you wanted to preface on today, John?
no,
We
I
covered
think
a
we
lot.
touched a yeah, I think we touched a lot of great subjects, Jimmy. The football, fantasy, the moving. Because, like I say, it's something good to hear for me, just how to make a transition like that if we ever decide to do something like that in the future. For the family, for you, our entire family, but and also just visit Nashville. I've always wanted to go, so you really have
Sure.
talked it up with all the stuff, also for kids.
I
So
swear. Yeah.
Oh,
just to
no,
visit.
yeah. No, there's a lot of things that good to do here. I mean, it's weird that I'm about 30 minutes from the capital here,
Hmm.
capital of Tennessee, and there's a lot of great things. There's a zoo, there's a
Yeah,
water park, there's a minor league baseball team. The Predators
yeah,
are in town. They look promising. The Titans are getting a new stadium
yeah.
in the next couple of years. So all good things. In and outs coming here. But I'll say two things really quick to make my last little plug about Tennessee is that there's
Mhm.
so Dolly Parton, everyone knows Dolly Parton. Dolly
Yeah.
Parton has a reading club. So when your kid is, I think, like from like 1 years old until like I think six or something, it's called the Dolly Parton Book Club. And so Dolly Parton's organization will send your kid, um, it's a reading program, will send you books
Oh,
to
no.
read to your kids, and they just it's completely free.
Awesome.
She has these books that she reads to your kids, and then there's something also called the Tennessee Promise. So if your kid went to a Tennessee school here in from like high
Hmm.
school or something, your um, the Tennessee Promise is that your kid will be able to have community college paid for free.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
So if you were like, I just want my kid to get AA or not
Hmm.
A, just their association or
Yeah,
something like that, that's paid for
yeah,
by city taxes or whatever else it is. So it's these cool little programs that are available for young families that are
yeah.
available, and then there's no state income tax.
Hmm.
So it's kind of cool, but it's definitely worth taking. Like Southern hospitality still exists here,
Hmm.
and so it's fun. It's been really good. But back to your point, Tim, like we've been here 3 years, and I would
Hmm.
say like it's not until about now that I've kind of finally like, okay, cool, this is home.
Hmm.
Because I did 2 years, I was in a different job, and now I'm doing something completely different. I just left property management, and now I have a work from home job,
Great.
and I've gotten plugged into a new church, and
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
we're kind of like digging our roots in,
Hmm.
and it's really kind of been more feeling at home. So yeah, but if you guys ever come out, let me know. We'll connect,
Yeah,
or we have a guest bedroom. You guys can come out here and
Hey.
crash in the guest
yeah, no,
bedroom.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
come on out for a weekend
Yeah.
and come to a Titans game. See if the Niners are not playing. The Niners played preseason, but none of the starters played. But that's all done. But yeah, you can
Yep.
come out, or in a couple of years when they have the new stadium,
Yeah.
in a couple 2-3 years, that'll be fun. So, but yeah,
Love
it's
that.
it's it's been a good fit
That's
for us. So
that's awesome.
yeah.
Well, we've talked about some destination podcasts. So,
Yeah.
what's
Oh
better than Jimbo's living room?
Yeah.
It would be.
And then
yeah.
we do a little vlog from downtown with all the bachelorette parties, as
Yep.
older adults. Like, what are we doing here?
Oof.
Like, what are we really
Yeah,
doing out
right.
here?
Dude, we could do it. We should
Yeah.
totally do it. I will
Yes.
tell you this. I don't know if you saw this, but the Titans did this year, and I'm sure the Rams do it, and the Niners
Mhm.
probably do it. And if they don't, they're missing out on an opportunity. They have this thing where you can pay for. It was on September 3rd. The Titans did it. They would let you host a fantasy football
I've
in
heard
one
of
of their
that.
guest suites.
Hmm.
It's
Wow.
super
Yeah.
cool. So they were like, it was. So I'm just gonna tell you the price up front, and I'm gonna tell you what you get. It's 750. So you get
It's not
the
bad.
suite for 4 hours.
Hmm.
You split that up over 8 to 12 guys or whoever
Hmm.
you're going to be in your fantasy team. You get a tour of the field,
Hmm.
the tour of the locker room, and you get a guest suite, and you get the bulletin board. You
The
get
boat,
the
yeah.
the draft board
Hmm.
all set up. You get it for 4 hours, and food's included.
Hmm.
That's a hell
Yeah,
of a deal.
Why
yeah,
wouldn't you do that?
yeah.
So like
I
I'm planting the seed now. I'm gonna be like, okay, who just wants to do a fantasy football just to do this? And then maybe after that I won't, because then when they get the new stadium it'll be like $1,000 or something.
yeah,
But how cool is that?
yeah. No,
Super cool.
yeah, no. That's
Yeah.
also I
I'm not
saw
even a
the
Titans fan.
I saw the Ravens do that. I saw
Yeah,
like
that's who did it.
yeah, I saw the Ravens did it, and I was like, that would be such an awesome experience. And I looked up when I saw that, I was like, SoFi Stadium. I didn't see anything in SoFi, so I don't know if it's just too big still, but maybe in a few years, once it like dies down a little, they'll be open to doing it. But that would be an awesome experience, just going on the field with all the buddies, the whole crew.
Yeah. Everyone dresses up, you split
Mhm.
it. Like I think it was like it goes like anywhere from like I think $80 to $90 a
Hmm.
person. Just do
Yeah,
it like one time experience. I wouldn't make it like
yeah,
I mean, unless it's like phenomenal, then it's like, oh,
yeah,
are we
Mhm.
doing this again?
yeah.
But like
Yeah.
I don't know, like or make
Yeah,
make that part of your buy-in instead of like we do $50 a head. It's like okay, there will be a trophy or something dumb,
yeah.
but whatever your buy-in was is just going to go to us having this cool experience, and then you
Hmm.
know whatever else it
Yeah,
is. But
Some
yeah,
memories. Yeah.
something
No.
I definitely encourage your listeners to reach
yeah.
out to your team and or
They
whoever's
got it.
local nearby.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm kind of rooting for the Titans, but I'm really rooting for the
yeah,
49ers. So, but yeah, I mean, see if you got a local stadium nearby that's opening up their suites for fantasy football for next year.
yeah.
I'll hit up the Oakland A's, see if they'll let me in there with the with the
Yeah.
They'll take your
with the
money.
wild animals
They'll
they
take
got
your
going,
money.
possums and raccoons and yeah, they'll let me
They'll
in.
gladly take your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Just don't
kidding.
be there when
Pretty
it's like
pretty
the
cheap.
demolition day. They have all the TNT set up
Right.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you hear the countdown. It's like, all right, you guys,
Why is
let's
all
finish
this
this drop.
beeping going on?
Right. Yeah.
Do I hear a sledgehammer?
What are all these
Trying to
wires?
pick Jose Canseco. I'm supposed to be Jose Canseco.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be so
Uh,
funny, man. Yeah. No, I actually saw, sorry, quick little side note. I saw this kid, he went to like an A's game maybe last week or something, and he started going into like random suites because they just leave the doors open. So he's going into
oh
guest
my
boxes like mid-game that are just dead
God.
empty, and he's just testing them out, see which one has a good view. And it's
That's
like, wow.
hilarious.
Ugh, that stadium,
Live
man,
it
I'm
up because
telling you,
that's not going to
it's
happen anymore. I mean, it's
Mm-mm.
what they got like
no.
what probably 2, 3 more weekends and then they're done.
Mhm.
That's it. Well, I heard the Sacramento thing might be falling through. There's some rumors about that. Yeah, I don't know if I heard it over the weekend. Don't quote me on it, but we'll see.
Well,
And Vegas isn't even a sure thing at this point. I don't know.
Mhm.
well,
Um,
we'll see
I
how
just have a feeling
Vegas
they didn't
goes,
want the
but yeah.
Ace. That
Well,
might be it.
see, there was a rumor that Nashville, so Justin Timberlake and he's got a
Oh
company or
yeah.
something. Justin Timberlake is we're trying to lure the Rays or the A's, or it was the White Sox to come down. But I think
Ooh.
all of them all got new stadiums. The ones that needed the most stadium was the Rays. The Rays have a horrible, it's like a
Mhm.
Oh
Circus
yeah.
Vargas. It's janky. Um, I'm
Yeah.
excited for the one that's going to Vegas. I'm not really excited that they're leaving and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like it when fans or teams leave their homes. But if you go through all sports, football,
Mhm.
baseball stuff, like the Arizona Cardinals used to be in St. Louis. The Rams were once in St. Louis. Like
Yeah.
everyone has, the Lakers were once in Minnesota. So everyone
Yep.
has their origins. It's just it sucks for the fan club. Like
Mhm.
the Atlanta Thrashers used to be here, now they're somewhere else, or they finally just went away. And
Mhm.
then you have the Phoenix Coyotes. They're now the
Utah.
Utah Hockey
Yeah.
Club or whatever the hell they're
Yeah.
called.
I don't even know if they have a.
Um,
Do they have a name yet?
so
I don't think
my
so,
wife
right?
brought that up. She was looking at the schedule and she's like,
Yeah.
"So they're called the Hockey Club?" And
Is
then
that
my
all it
phone was
is?
listening to me, and it said that someone accidentally might have leaked the name, and they're going to be called, I think, the Utah Yeti, or Yetis.
That's kind
Hmm.
of
So
cool. I like that one.
yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
you got the Kraken up in
The
Seattle,
Kraken's
and you
really
got
cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So we'll
awesome.
see how all that pans out. But I'm not saying I thought the A's were settled, but from what I heard, they were taking over one of their minor league teams. So it's like cool.
Hmm.
Like one weekend you get the pros, the next weekend you got the minor league, like the
Hmm.
double, triple A or whatever it is. So like, why wouldn't it work out? But maybe MLB is like, this doesn't work for the clubs, or
Hmm.
I don't know how that all works. But that's it's not my problem. They
Yeah.
gotta figure it all out. So
Yeah, we'll
Yep.
see.
Guess we'll see. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess they're saying that temporarily it might be in trouble because they they kind of wanted to do some expansions to the ballpark because it is really small. I've been there. I've been to the Rivercat Stadium twice, and
okay.
it is pretty rinky-dink. I mean, it's AAA, but it's nice. But I think that they wanted to expand it a little bit, but I don't even know if you can fill that up. So, but
Hmm.
Sacramento might be stoked to get a team. So
But yeah, but
hey,
you filling it up for 2, 3 years, like how much? I mean, how much money can you pour into that? Because then you're moving to
Hmm.
Vegas, like, but
yeah,
whatever. I mean,
guess we'll
MLB's got
see.
money.
Yeah.
Just take money out from the mattress. It's not like they're short on cash. It's not
Yeah.
like they're
Right.
paying a bunch of players right now either. So
Yeah.
Right.
see how it
Uh-huh.
goes.
Well,
Hell yeah.
awesome.
Absolutely. But Jimmy, we can't thank you
Mm-hmm.
enough.
Yes.
Sure.
For I know it's getting late over there, and your 49ers fandom, your wealth of knowledge on, NFL things, sports in general, we value, and
Yes.
especially your move over to Tennessee, and I think that's a big deal for a lot of folks these days with where the price of things have gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's you have firsthand experience, and I think that's super valuable and
Yeah.
eye-opening for a lot of folks, and might be that final push. You never know. For people to kind of branch out and try something
Mm-hmm.
new.
Yeah.
But we
You can always
appreciate
go
you.
back. It's just a little bit
Yeah.
pricier of admission, but
Yeah. Sure.
there's no harm in doing a long weekend or a month
Mm-hmm.
long stay somewhere and just try and
Yeah.
give it a test drive and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll learn new things about yourself that you're like, oh, like I didn't realize how much I enjoy four weathers. I know I couldn't live in Arizona like Tim was. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a fan of the desert, so I can
No.
tend. It's like by the time you get the hot weather we have here, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, like winter's on its way or something else on its way. Like you look forward to that, like versus like Arizona's just it's hot and
Hot.
very hot and
Mm,
hot.
cool.
Like it's just
Yeah.
Yep.
and cold at night,
Yeah.
desert. So but yeah, get
No, yeah, for
try
sure.
something new. But yeah, I
Yeah.
understand family is important and I've just been fortunate that things have worked out the way they have.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for
Right.
having me, guys. I really do appreciate the time.
Yeah.
We should do a recap maybe at the end of the season or
Yeah.
do
Love
a
that.
playoffs or something like that. But yeah, anytime I'm always down. But I appreciate the time and thanks for
No,
having me. Thanks for the invite.
no, no.
Likewise.
Thank you, Jimmy. We appreciate you coming on. To all our listeners, thank you for listening. We appreciate you taking the time. Remember to like, comment, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys next week. All right.
Thank you,
Good.
Jimmy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Great
guys.
job, buddy.
See ya.